You've got Kip Brown in the Spirit of Qatar, which is running faster and faster every time they put the boat in the water. Mike Webster with Performance Tools, and of course J. Michael Kelly in that very fast Graham Trucking red boat. Let's check in with Chris Francis on the Graham Trucking team.
Well, Steve, this is very different for J. Michael Kelly. He's used to watching out for the Oberto, but now he's got two boats he's got to keep an eye on, the 96 and the 9, as Alexis Smith mentioned. And if he can do this and win this heat and beat them to the starting line, well, he'll have a commanding lead in the points heading toward that final.
All right, Chris. For those of you who are uninitiated, the rules seem to change year by year of how the boats have to start, how they have to score up. We couldn't have two better people to really explain all of that for you, along with Chip Hanauer, champion race driver. We welcome in around the world and on KairoTV.com, the voice now of unlimited hydroplane racing. We're so glad to have him here at Cairo 7, Mr. Mark Allen.
Thank you very much, Steve. 1 minute and 42 seconds, and we already know that we'll have only 5 boats in this heat. Chip, the Sahara Pizza, Dave Warren, the 100 boat is out.
I think the Qatar boat's going to be a boat we're going to watch all day because it's a brand new boat. A brand new boat takes time to kind of get it dialed in, especially with a new driver. They could be a contender all day.
They could, and of course, J. Michael Kelly and the Graham Trucking already a winner this year. You're looking at Kip Brown in that Qatar boat that picked up about 10 miles an hour last weekend before they put it in the water, and when they took it out of the water at the end of the day, they were about 10 miles faster. So they've gained some more speed, as we said earlier, this weekend, and that's a boat to contend with. And then there's John Zimmerman, and he's the guy that everybody's looking out for, as well as J. Michael Kelly.
J. Michael Kelly, you know, I've kind of been beating his drum for a lot of years. After this race is over today, he's going over to Eastern Washington, the Stock Outboard Nationals, huge event. This is the only guy in history to win 5 classes at one Outboard National. So this is one great driver. There they are right together, those two guys.
And it looks like J. Michael Kelly has secured the inside lane, shortest way around the race course. Next to him, it looks like I can't tell exactly who that is from the overhead shot. The third lane is Tommy Thompson in the Peters in May, and it looks maybe like John Zimmerman's going to go around the outside.
Lots of speed on the outside. Longer distance to go. No, that's Tom Thompson in the Peters in May, but those two boats outside are going to have more boat speed at the line.
So you've got everybody coming down. They're heading toward us at the start-finish line with 8 seconds. They're a bit early, Chip. They're only about 1,000 yards away. We'll see if this start is good or it's going to have to be under review. 2-1. It's going to be really close. Tom Thompson led him across the line from the outside. Lots of speed to his inside. You've got J. Michael Kelly in there. You've got Kip Brown in there. You've got the hottest boats, fastest boats in the world, fastest race boats, and who's going to come out on top first? And that would be Mr. Kelly, and he is starting to run away up the backstretch. Kip Brown trying to trace him from lane number 3.
And we've got an issue out in turn 1. We've got a boat in trouble out in turn 1. The rescue boats are on their way to the boat right now. That boat got upside down. What I saw happen is he slid out. It looked like he had a lane. I can't tell. They all look the same upside down. But he slid out, got into the rooster tail of a boat that was outside of him. And when you get into that rooster tail, it literally picks the boat. There you can see his legs. And that is a hard maneuver to do. You're upside down, underwater, and that looks like Kip Brown's driving suit to me. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that could be Kip Brown's driving suit. That's quite a maneuver. He's trying to get out. He's okay. It is Kip Brown. I believe that's the Qatar boat.
And Kip's got his hands above his head.
That's the signal that it's okay. This is so tragic. We were just talking about this Qatar boat, brand new boat. They were just dialing it in, you know, getting it ready to really be a race boat, and now this has happened.
Well, with any luck, it was a reasonably soft landing, Chip, not a lot of damage, and we'll see if they can put some things back together, get Kip back into, he won't be able to restart this heat, because when you stop the heat, if you're the reason for the stoppage, then you're disqualified. So let's take a look at it again. Kip's
it looked to me like there was a lane inside. My telestrator is down right now, but if you watch the boat, I think in lane 3, he's going to slide out. He's coming out. He's coming out. He's going to get into that rooster tail. When you get into that rooster tail, it literally picks the boat up. There it is up in the air. And once it's up in the air, you don't know which way it's going to land. When you're in one of these boats and you know you're going upside down, Mark, you're in your mind, you're going, please land right side up. Please land right side up. It didn't, but he got him. Here's another angle of it. I think he had room in there. There was room in there for him to make a turn, but he was just late initiating his turn. And once you're late, if you ever watch Indy, you talk about a guy that got high, he got too high, and then he hits the wall. Same kind of thing here. He was just too late initiating his turn, got into the rooster tail, it's upside down. I think he's okay, which is the good news part.
He seemed to be okay when he got out of the cockpit. It got under his own power out, put the hands up, signal that he thought he was okay. And you know, one of the things that is really unique about these boats in the racing conditions we have is the boat, you've explained this to me before, the boat doesn't know the difference between going through the rooster tail. It thinks it's the river.
Let's go down to Alexis. I think she's got the crew, and they probably know what's going on better than anybody. Alexis?
Yeah, I'm in the Spirit of Qatar pits here. I've got the crew with me. Are you guys hearing anything? We saw the thumbs up from Kip. He's okay, right?
He got out of the boat. He's okay. Now it's just a question of how bad the damage is and if we can go on for the rest of the day. It looked like everybody just got in there a little crowded, and he rode up the rooster tail probably with the 22 being inside, then the 1, and then us. There was a lot of crowd. So it's... you know, it's racing. They get together, and fortunately, it went over soft, so we hope everything's not broken.
Okay, and I know that's got to be a disappointment. Second weekend in the water for your boat.
Good news is it was going fast. Bad news is it's upside down, so all we got to do is get it right side up and get it going fast again.
All right, good news. Sounding like Kip Brown is going to be okay, guys. Back to you.
And the guys in the Qatar camp are already starting to get things together and start to plan what they're going to do with the boat when it gets back.
Take us back a few years, Mark. We had that's gone down in the annals of history of flip and win.
Yes.
Tell us about that. So there is a precedence that you flipped early in the day and come back and win the race.
Yeah, absolutely. 1997, Mark Evans was driving the Pico, and he was having a very, very good day. Unfortunately, he tried to ride around the north turn. There's no banking on these turns, so he tried to take the banking on the north turn. Didn't do a very good job of it, but did land softly upside down. Got himself out, and they towed the boat back. Not a lot of damage. Dried it out. Got it right side up. Went back out in the next heat, and in the final, he won the race. 1997. That's the boat they call now Flipper.
Now they've got the cowling together. You can see it's kind of torn up pretty good as the boat continues to be upside down. They're waiting to try to tow that back into the pits. But we saw the boat that's bringing Kip Brown back to the shore and back to the pits. And I'm guessing, Chip, it's mandatory now. Anything like this, you as a driver have to get checked out immediately by medical personnel here on site.
You do, and I think this goes to all sports now. You and I were talking this morning about how much attention brain injuries get now. You know, an athlete, he immediately, you know, get me back in, get me back in, get me back in the boat. But they mostly want to make sure that he didn't hit his head, has been concussed, and is okay to go.
Big hug there for Kip Brown as he's being helped away now by a couple of EMTs who are going to take him, as you said, and check him out. He seems to be nodding his head saying, yeah, I'm okay. He looks, actually, Mark, more disappointed than almost anything. But as you were saying, one of the boats that had really been coming on here, and of course with Mike Hansen at the controls of this team, and Elstrom Racing and all the money that Qatar had, this was somebody that was going to be reckoned with as the season went on, and now who knows what could happen.
Well, I don't think they'll be ready for September, the middle of September in San Diego. I don't think there's any question about that, and they may be ready for this. But you know what? I'm not going to pick any more dark horses.
But you know, here's what teams are up against. They built a brand new boat, and usually when you build a brand new boat, you hopefully have had the driver you've had forever because you have this good communication, and that's a known. But here they had a brand new boat to the team and a brand new driver and a number of new crew people. So this really sets this program back a ways.
You know what's interesting, and you mentioned it when you were talking to Mark a few moments ago, that as in Indy racing, you know, these kinds of incidents, but something that they tell all the drivers at Indianapolis, you can't win the race on the first lap, but you can certainly lose it. But in boat racing, trying to vie for these positions, especially as you're going into that first turn, you can lose the race.
You can lose a race, and when I talk to young drivers, you know, first, you've heard me say it a million times, don't beat yourself. Okay, this is a brand new boat. It looked like there was plenty of room on the inside if he would have backed down, slowed down a little bit. But as a race driver, Mark, you know, you get in the boat, you got this adrenaline, and all that you can think about is get to the front. But as a race driver, you've got to stay under control and think about, what do I need to do right now?
Well, what do you need to do to get into the final? He had a second place finish yesterday, so he had 300 points going into this heat. So he's got 2 heats today, a couple of good finishes today for him in the preliminary heats would have put him in the final. So we'll see.
And you know what you mentioned too about Dave Ilwak not being here. I'm sadder than anybody. We had this great, exciting young driver in Kip Brown in a brand new boat. Maybe not be back. Dave Villwalk, the winningest driver on this lake ever, gone. Makes me sad.
Right. Other teams are probably looking at this. Nobody wants to see a fellow driver get injured or, quite frankly, see other boats torn up. But when you see the competition start dropping, if you're in the Graham pits or the Oberto pits, you may be thinking, well, our day just got a little bit better. One thing I think we should also point out, Mark, is the speed with which rescue crews were on the scene. Literally within seconds of that boat going over, frogmen were in the water and already hunting to try to see where was Kip, how quickly can they get him out of that boat.
And they're all communicating together, too. They're very well trained. They do this all the time. Before each race, they go to each boat, even though they've seen these boats before, and they check out the escape hatch. They check out the systems that they need to disconnect. So they know exactly what they need to do.
And let me explain what it's like inside there. The boat goes up in the air. We talked about please land right side up. It doesn't normally. You want to immediately undo your belt because you're belted in this thing tight. But you don't want to do that because if you undo the belt, you fall into the canopy. The boat's upside down. Now it's dark. You're underwater. You can't find anything. So what you learn to do is stay in your belts. Make sure your air mask is on your face, that you're breathing, and then get your hand on the release switch, whether it be the canopy to come out through what is now upside down the bottom, or the way Kip came out through the escape hatch. And then once you know you've got your handle and you can open the hatch, not till everything is done and the hatch is open do you undo those belts.
Easier said than done, I'm sure. But we go back to these pictures. There you see the hatch flip up. You see those frogmen literally in the water within seconds. And there's Kip. And now what is he doing right there, Chip? Trying to get the rest of himself unbuckled?
Yeah, now remember, he was upside down. So all of you at home, I would like you to get on your rug, get yourself upside down, and then try to get up onto your couch, legs first. And then maybe have your husband or wife hit you with a garden hose while you're doing it. It's very difficult to do, but he did this excellent. There's the hatch.
Kicked it with his foot.
Kicked it with his foot. He undid his belts just prior to that, and he did this amazingly well. I think if we can put a clock on it, I think from the time the boat landed upside down till he got himself out of the boat, I think it was probably, I don't know, 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
Yeah, and he's no small person trying to climb out of there either.
And you know what? You know who suffers even more than Kip during that time? Is his lovely wife and family on the dock.
Yeah.
Because all you see is a boat upside down, and I know I put my family through it longer than I should have, and that's got to be agonizing.
Actually, when they were walking, he was on the dock walking over to be checked out. His wife Tiffany was there with him.
Right,
so.
Right, big hug.
A lot of times I was on the road, my family wasn't with me when I ended up in the rescue boat, and I'd ask somebody, do you have a cell phone? And I did call my dad and go, Dad, I'm fine.
Well, I'm okay. Just turn the boat over again. Let's check in with Alexis Smith. She's down in the pits there with the folks with the Qatar boat.
Yeah, and we saw Kip Brown's wife, Tiffany, over here in the pits right after he flipped, and she was visibly upset, went down to the medic tent. Obviously, you guys updated that. He is okay, so that's certainly some good news. Now, the crew is out here waiting for the boat to come in. They say they'll get it hooked up on the crane. They'll start draining the water out of it and see what the damage is. Just really don't have any idea at this point.
Okay, Alexis, keep us up to date on that. Mark, so what happens now? They will restart this heat from the beginning again, I assume.
They will, because it was just at the beginning. They have to go, what they say, half. There's only 3-lap heats, so they have to have two laps
right
in the books. Otherwise, they restart. So they'll bring the boats back. They'll put them up on the trailer, refuel them. I'm sure they're going to run 2B, and then they'll go back to 2A.
Right.
Now, the rule says if the heat was stopped for any reason because of even if you're able to go back out, like if maybe you spun the boat, and you would be able to go back out, you're not allowed to because you caused the stoppage of the heat.
So, and of course, we expect that would be the case anyway.
In this case.
This boat is still being towed, if you will, back over to the pit area. And it's going to probably take a few more minutes before they get into the pits and are able to lift it out, drain all the water out of it. But there it is, that brand new boat. And it sure doesn't look like a brand new boat in that position.
It does. And I just can't express how much blood, sweat, and tears goes into creating these boats. And, more than anybody, more than the owner or the sponsor, I drove for the guys that built the boat. And I know Kip just feels horrible. More than anything else, he feels like he let his guys down. He didn't. This is part of racing. You have to accept when you lower one of these things in the water, Mark, there's a very good chance that it's going to come back like this.
Yeah.
Next time you go through the first turn of the first lap of the first race of the day, what are you thinking then as a driver?
Great question. Same corner with the Budweiser. I flipped in qualifying. We had a backup boat. They checked me out, and I was back in the boat an hour later, got to that same spot, and my mind was saying, keep your foot down, but I couldn't. It took me about 3 laps to get through that spot before I could go flat again.
Which makes it all the more amazing that back in '97, I believe it was, that Mark Evans came back and won. Yes, the crew did a great job in putting that boat right side up and draining the water out of it and racing, but the fact that he could get back in the boat and push his foot to the floor and race fast enough, Mark, to win.
If anybody could do it, it would be Mark Evans.
What I was going to say, Mark is a special case. You know, he's a different guy, but we got John Zimmerman with Alexa Smith, I think, down the pit.
Yeah, and right now, one of the Elstroms is on the boat. They're talking already on the phone about here's what's wrong, here's what we need to get fixed, but let's go back to Alexis in the pits.
John, you were right next to Kip Brown when he went over. What happened?
I'm not really sure. I mean, one minute he was in my mirror, and the next minute he was gone. I don't know, something happened to his boat or whatever. I'm just glad that Kip's okay, and he's up and talking, and I don't think he's hurt at all.
Okay, certainly some good news. Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you.
Nobody wants drivers to be well more than other drivers.
You know, and I have to say, I don't know if you'll agree with me, Mark, but I think this class of drivers like each other better than any group I've ever seen before. I mean, there's obviously some issues with some of them, but they grew up together. You talked about that, I think, earlier in the day. These guys all came up through outboards together, inboards together. They know each other really well, and they seem to genuinely like and care about each other.
They do, and you're absolutely right. You know, they race other weekends when they're not racing unlimited hydroplanes. We're talking about J. Michael Kelly going to the Outboard Nationals. But these guys race all the time, and they've been racing since they were the littlest class you can have, the J-boats, where you have to be 9 years old, and some of these guys have been racing against each other since then. So they know each other pretty well.
And maybe Alexis can keep her eye on it down the pits, but I'll bet you that every boat in the area, down in that pit area, will come to the Qatar and say, what do you need?
Yeah, how can we help?
How can we help? What do you need? It's just that way. And then they want to go out on the race course and kill each other. But you want to beat the guy on the water. You don't want to beat him on the trailer. There's some real experience there. Rick Carella's on that team. Jeff there. There's
Mike
a lot of Mike Hansen. Yeah, one of the best in the business. Danny Hyde. Great crew guys.
Well, here comes the Spirit of Qatar, upside down and broken. Can they get it fixed? In the meantime, we're going to run Heat 2B in just a few moments. We'll take a break. Come back with more. It's been awfully exciting, and we're just getting started here at Seafair.
The Albert Lee Appliance Seafair Cup on Cairo 7 is presented by your Western Washington Hyundai dealers. Test drive a new Hyundai today. Cairo 7 Eyewitness News, every day from 5 to 6:30.
Light rail service is shut down.
This crash did some pretty serious damage. Chopper 7 gives you the best perspective.
Information you need to know.
As soon as we heard about the ferry stall, I started looking back through a long list of problems.
In-depth coverage.
We watched helicopters stepping up the firefight just in the last hour.
Here's some perspective on just how fast these fires flared up.
That's the dedicated, straightforward Seattle news coverage we give you every day. Cairo 7 Eyewitness News, 5 to 6:30.
Call the plumber.
Oh, stop freaking. I'll call Beacon.
Beacons is the company you can rely on. Once you call them, you'll never, ever call anyone else.
Next time you have a plumbing problem, don't start freaking. Call Beacon Plumbing.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Everybody knows that.
Well, did you know that words really can hurt you?
What?
Jesse, don't go! Jesse, no!
I'm sorry, Daisy, but I'm a loner, and a loner's gotta be alone.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Call the plumber.
Oh, stop freaking. I'll call Beacon.
Beacons is the company you can rely on. Once you call them, you will never, ever call anyone else.
Next time you have a plumbing problem, don't start freaking. Call Beacon Plumbing.
If you are just getting back from church and just turning on the TV, and we know it's going to be on all afternoon for you here on Cairo 7, live exclusive coverage of Seafair in Seattle and the Albert Lee Appliance Seafair Cup. This is what you've missed. First lap of the first turn of the first heat of the day. It's actually Heat 2A after 2 were run yesterday. That is the Spirit of Qatar. One of the crew members, one of the owners, on top of the bottom of the boat as that boat flipped. And we're going to show it to you one more time along with Mark Allen, and Chip is with us as well. And take a look here, Chip, and tell us what happened.
Well, as you can see, Kip is in lane 3, and he's got plenty of room there. And everybody starts to initiate their turn, but he's the last guy that initiates the turn, I believe. And here he's going now. He's initiated the turn. There's a lane there for him, but he can't hold his boat in there. He gets into that rooster tail. The rooster tail literally picks it up and throws it over backwards. So I'm afraid that this is going to actually land in Kip's lap. This was, you can see plenty of lane right there for him that he could have, look, the lane is still there, even way after the flip. So he just got too high, initiated the turn too late, and there's the result.
Possible that something could have happened to the boat to let him drift out. Oh, hang on to that because we want to hear from Kip. Let's head down to the pits now. Alexis Smith with Kip Brown.
Yeah, Kip, I can see the disappointment on your face. Definitely not what you wanted to happen today. What happened out there?
I drove into a tunnel. Had J. Michael Kelly on my inside, John Zimmerman on my outside, and that's a stupid place to be. You know, we're all racing real hard and you know, trying to race clean, and my lane tightened up, and I got my right sponson into John's rooster tail, and there's no saving it at that point. I tried to keep out of it. I couldn't, and I wrecked the boat, and I just frickin' hate it for my guys. I'm so pissed at myself, and I'm so disappointed for this to happen, you know, anytime, but especially here at Seafair, and especially when we ran so well yesterday and qualified well. I mean, we were really on a roll, and this is very, very frustrating, disappointing time.
Yep, definitely a tough day over here. Spirit of Qatar. We're glad you're okay, though, Kip.
Thank you.
Well, they know, Alexis, that is going to work very, very hard to get that boat ready because we have more racing to go. Get set to be coming up right now. It is time to go racing. Heat 2B of Unlimited Boat Racing for the Albert Lee Appliance Seafair Cup, and here are the boats.